Find the two wooden bridges and notice that one is both longer and taller than the other. We'll set aside the shorter bridge and begin with the tall, longer one. This is called the treble bridge. One end of the treble bridge has dots on the very top support. You want to orient that away from you at the top of the instrument. And then there's a plain support at the bottom of that bridge toward your body. You orient the bridge midway between the two sound holes, and then you can tape it in place to hold it, and then lay your Delrin rod over the top of it. I like to cut the Delrin rod just a little bit longer than necessary, maybe 1/4 inch. Allows plenty of room for the strings without having them fall off the end. Take the first pair of wound strings from the left side and stretch them across the instrument to the first pair of tuning pins. You want to clip each string to be about 2 inches beyond the corresponding tuning pin. I use 3 fingers to get the approximate measurement. Clip off the excess, poke the string into the hole, but only far enough that you can feel it on the other side of the pin. Then you turn the pin clockwise about half turn so that you can tug on the string to kink the wire so it stays in the hole. The end should be just visible on the other side of the pin but not protruding. As you turn the pin further, keep the tension on the wire and direct the windings downward on the tuning pin until the string becomes slightly taut. Be careful not to over tighten. These wound strings are fragile. You can repeat this with the second string. It'll connect to the outer tuning pin of the pair. Measure 3 fingers beyond the pin and clip the wire to that length. And then when you insert the string in the pin, you can push the end back into the hole with your finger as you hold the wire in your other hand. Turn the pin part way, pull on the wire to set the hook, so to speak, and then maintain some pull on the string as you turn the pin to wind the slack downward on the tuning pin. The reason we wind downward is to make sure the string rests firmly on top of the brass tube, which acts as your side bridge or stop for each string. If the string doesn't touch that brass tube, just unwind it by turning the pin backwards a little until you can easily slide the wraps downward before tightening it up again. Then you can start on the next pair of strings, repeating the process. Measure the excess and clip the string. Press the end back flush with the tuning pin and wrap it downwards on the pin. If you don't wrap downward, some strings are likely not make firm contact with the side bridge, that brass tube, and you will not be able to tune the instrument properly. I haven't talked about holding the slack wire in your left hand while turning the tuning wrench with your right, but that is important, especially when we move to the plain steel strings later. That's because the plain wire is hard to hold, kind of slippery. You need to maintain some tension on the wire as you turn the tuning pins so the wire wraps nicely down onto the pin. Our kit instructions suggest installing the last pair of strings at the top end of the instrument just to help hold the treble bridge in place. So we'll show that now. You may find that the brass tubes need to be moved in the groove to accommodate these 2 wires. The plain wire will reach across the instrument, around the first screw, and then back to the other side again. And so you need enough wire to get over across the instrument and back. Then you clip it off the 2 inches beyond the pin and thread it the same way you did the wound strings. It's also helpful to check the placement of the treble bridge by plucking a string on the right side first and the left side second. You want to hear a perfect 5th interval across the bridge. We recommend using an electronic tuner for accuracy here. It doesn't matter what note you have tuned the string to, it is the interval across the bridge that is critical. So if you tune the right side of the string to a C note, for example, the left side should be a G note, 5 notes above. If the note on the left side is higher than G, you can slide the bridge slightly to the right. But if the left side is lower than G, you slide the bridge to the left until you get both notes to a fifth interval apart. Be sure to retune the right side to the C note again before testing the G note. When you get the top bridge properly placed, do the same at the bottom end to make sure the bridge lines up straight between the two ends. Find the coil of plain wire marked 22 thousandths diameter, and that's the size of wire that will be used for the next 5 courses. Be careful when unwinding the wire from the coil. It could become tangled. Hold the coil in one hand as you pull the ends out to make it easy to release a length of wire that will reach across the instrument and back again. When you have enough string, you can start winding the end on the first tuning pin near the brass tube, being careful to set the becket or the hook as you start the string, and then to guide the windings downward as you turn the pin 2 or 3 raps to get it started. Pull the string across the instrument and around the next hitch pin or screw. Keep tension on the string. I use 3 fingers to get the approximate measurement. Then cut the other end to the proper length, 3 fingers beyond the pin, and insert the end and push it back flush with the other side of the pin as you get it started. And set your becket or your hook and guide the windings downward. When the string becomes taut, you can check across the instrument to space the pair evenly, about 1/8 inch apart, so they don't rattle against each other. Also double check that the strings are both making firm contact with the brass tubes. Here's another close-up of installing the wires on the tuning pins. Take note of how my left hand holds the slippery wire. I've gathered the slack in my fist, and I can release it slowly by turning my wrist as the wire winds onto the pin. Pull it across the instrument, wrap around the hitch pin, and then back to the other side again. Take note of which tuning pin you're going to, and then cut the string 3 fingers beyond it. Poke the string into the tuning pin, turn it just slightly, and then you can back the string up to where it's just even with the other side of the tuning pin. Then you can set your becket, your hook, and then guide the string winding downward. Continue on in the same way until you have all the 5 pairs of the 22 thousandths wire, and then switch to the 20 thousandths wire, the .020, starting at the 3rd black marker. And you can just continue installing the remainder of the treble strings. The next 4 pairs will be 18 thousandths, and the last 2 are 16 thousandths diameter.